All right, so we're diving into this hefty thing. A 179-point checklist for market analysis and competitive positioning. I mean, 179 points.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It sounds a bit much, right?
It does sound like a lot, but it's more like, imagine it as a toolkit, right? Like a really well-stocked toolkit that you can use to build a strategy rather than like this daunting to-do list you have to tackle all at once.
Right, exactly. We're not going to go through all 179. Let's be very clear about that.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you the highlights, pull out some of the interesting stuff, and hopefully by the end of this deep dive, you'll be able to look at that checklist and actually use it, apply it to your own business.
Exactly. And, the checklist is broken down into these 14 key categories. And really, it's about, each one sort of tackles a different aspect of market analysis, competitive strategy. And again, we don't have time to go through all of them, but we can definitely hit the highlights of ones that I think are going to be most relevant.
And some of these categories are way more interesting than they sound. Like when I first saw market trends and technological innovation, I was like, oh boy, here we go. It's fascinating stuff.
It is.
It's about like, how do you figure out what's coming next? And how do you make sure you're not left in the dust?
And that's so critical, right? Because in today's day and age, if you're reacting to a change, you're already behind.
Right.
You got to be ahead of it. So thinking about, the rise of e-commerce, that completely changed the game. Social media marketing, same deal, right?
Absolutely.
The companies that saw that happening early on, they were the ones that really rode that wave to success.
It's all about being proactive, not reactive. All right, next category, customer segmentation and behavior. This is where it gets really interesting. Forget those broad demographics. We're talking about really understanding your customer, building out what they call personas.
Yeah.
Basically like fictional representations of your ideal customer, but based on real data.
Yeah, it's about going beyond the assumptions and really digging into what are the motivations, What keeps your target customer up at night? What are they aspiring towards? And once you tap into that, then you can really tailor your products, your marketing, everything to really resonate with them on that deeper level.
Yeah, it's like instead of just, making a product and being like, I hope people like this,
Right.
It's more like, I know you're going to like this because I understand you.
Exactly. It's like that connection, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, speaking of understanding your customer,
Okay.
that kind of leads us into another really important category, which is the environmental, social, and governance factors, ESG.
Right, ESG. It's everywhere you turn these days.
It's not just a buzzword. It's becoming really a core consideration for businesses of really all sizes at this point. And this category really focuses on the impact your business has on the world and on your stakeholders. So recognizing that profit isn't the only measure of success.
Right.
You got to consider your environmental footprint.
Of course, yeah. Your social impact and the ethical kind of implications of how you operate.
It's like, how do you make sure that your business is not just successful, but also like responsible?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think increasingly we're seeing that, customers, investors, even potential employees, they're looking at ESG performance.
Oh, absolutely.
And factoring that into their decisions.
Yeah. It's like people want to buy from companies, work for companies.
Align with their values.
Yeah, exactly. And reflect their values. Okay. So we're starting to see, like, even just from these category titles, it's painting a bigger picture.
It is.
Of what it takes to really thrive in today's market.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about these high-level categories, which are super interesting. But what I want to know is, like, how do we actually put this into practice? Yeah, that's the key question. And that's really where I think this checklist shines. So let's dive into a few, like, specific checklist items.
Okay, let's get into the weeds a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So under the market trends and technological innovation category, one of the items is identify emerging technologies in the industry.
Okay.
Now, that might seem kind of obvious on the surface level, but it goes beyond, just reading tech blogs and...
Right. Just because you saw some cool new tech doesn't mean you know how to use it or if it's even right for you.
Exactly. So, just as an example, think about the rise of AI-powered data analytics tools, right?
Oh, yeah.
Businesses that were early to adopt that, they gained a huge edge because they were able to use those tools to get better insights from their data, make better decisions, even automate certain processes.
So it's not enough to just kind of be aware of the technology. You have to figure out, okay, how does this actually apply to my business?
Yeah.
How can I use this?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, what else we got?
All right, let's jump over to the customer segmentation and behavior category.
Okay.
One that I always come back to is develop personas for each customer segment.
Right, so we touched on this a little bit earlier. This is where we get into like the nitty-gritty of who your ideal customer is.
Yeah.
But what does that look like?
So instead of just saying we target millennials,
right.
You might create a persona named, let's say, Alex. Alex is a 28-year-old freelance graphic designer. They value things like flexibility, creativity, and collaboration. You would outline, like, what are their daily challenges? What are they aspiring towards? What's their preferred style of communication? What social media platforms are they on?
Okay, so you're painting a picture.
Exactly.
But it's based on real data.
Exactly. And then once you have that,
gotcha.
You can tailor your marketing messages, your product features, your customer service approach to really, speak to them.
It makes it real, right?
It makes it real.
Instead of just like a nebulous group of people, you're like, I'm talking to Alex.
Exactly.
Love it.
Okay, and then let's look at the stakeholder analysis category.
Okay.
One item here. Assess the impact of business decisions on different stakeholder groups.
Okay.
And this is all about taking that holistic view.
So not just like, how does this affect my bottom line?
Exactly. What are the ripple effects?
Right, the unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Yeah, give me an example. I'd love to hear like a real world scenario.
Okay, so let's say you're a fashion brand.
Okay.
And you're thinking about switching to a cheaper fabric supplier.
Okay.
Right? To cut down on production costs.
Makes sense.
Sounds good in theory, right? Bigger profit margins.
Yeah, why not?
But then you got to think, okay,
Yeah.
what about the impact on everyone else? That cheaper fabric.
Right.
It might mean lower quality, which could disappoint your customers.
Right. They're not going to be happy.
And then your current supplier, what happens to them?
Yeah, they might have to lay people off.
Exactly. And then you get into, like, are there ethical implications? You know, are you potentially supporting poorer working conditions? Wow, see, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's all connected.
It's like dominoes.
Right. So it's about taking a breath, looking at the whole picture.
360, yeah.
Exactly. And saying, okay, how does this decision impact everyone? My employees, my suppliers, my customers, the planet even, right?
It's about being conscious of the bigger picture.
Exactly. And this checklist item, it's really encouraging you to think those things through.
Yeah.
And find solutions that are, sustainable for the long haul.
Right, not just a quick fix.
Right. Maybe you negotiate a better price with your current supplier or find a different way to cut costs.
Without sacrificing your values.
Exactly.
This is so interesting.
Yeah, it's not just about the numbers.
It's about the human side of things, too.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes this 179-point checklist so valuable. It's not just about crunching numbers. It's about strategy, perspective, making decisions that are good for business, but also just good, period.
Right. Good for everyone.
Exactly.
Well, this has been amazing. I mean, we just scratched the surface of this checklist.
Yeah, just a glimpse.
But hopefully it's got you thinking, okay, how can I use this?
Absolutely.
What questions should I be asking about my own business?
What category really resonates for you right now?
Yeah, what's going to move the needle? That's what I want to know. All right, so there you have it. Another deep dive. Hopefully you found it useful. Go out there, ask the tough questions, and make smart decisions. Until next time.